Regional scholarship would pay your school fees, accommodation, then you're entitled to one lunch per day at the university's canteen. Yes, so but I think those who are unable to meet up with, like, since you'll be categorized based on your level of income, some can also get access to the tuition waiver. So hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today I'll be talking about, or let me say walk you through the application process for those interested in studying in Italy. So before I start, generally speaking, application for grad school, whether it's USA, UK, Canada, or any country of your choice, requires certain personal qualities, most especially your willingness to carry out research. The truth is, there's so many information that are available out there, but you as an individual should be willing to take responsibility. Definitely people would feed you with this information, but it's not everything per se that people would carry out for you. A lot has been done by those willing to sacrifice and all of that. So one thing I would say is you should be willing to make research, go to different websites and find out things yourself, basically. So studying in Italy is relatively cheap because most international students that come don't sponsor themselves. Even if you don't get a scholarship by merit, you'll be able to get the regional scholarship, which also will be maintained by merit, although it's a family-based income. So let me just say that we have three types of scholarships mainly for those who want to study in Italy. The first, it varies per university and per school. So the first is the departmental scholarship, that is based on your department. You can get a scholarship that would allow you to study for the 2 years. Yeah, masters in Italy is usually 2 years, and this scholarship needs to be maintained by you meeting and passing certain number of units before a specific timeline. Yeah, so let me give my school as an example. University of Padua, there's also the Padova Excellence Scholarship, which is like the University General Scholarship, aside from the departmental scholarship. So this scholarship too, most times you just apply for admission without having to put in a separate application. Yeah, I think it works like that for most of the Italian universities too. So when you submit your statement of motivation, you'll be considered for any of these scholarships, that is the University General Scholarship or the departmental scholarship. And aside from that, if you have any university in mind, you should go to the website. Every university website has a specific web page dedicated to the list of scholarships available for each academic session. So it's necessary you go to the website and see if there are certain requirements that you have to meet up in order to apply for the scholarship. But generally in Italy, we have the departmental scholarship, and we have the second one, which is the regional scholarship. The regional scholarship is available for almost all, let me say all universities. That is, it's an income-based scholarship. That is, you have to submit a document of your family income, then legalize it, then you'll be categorized based on that. So most students actually study via this route. So with the regional scholarship, after coming on, it must be renewed the second year by submitting the same income document. For this, there's so many information on Ayobami Gundairo's YouTube page, which I would put in the description section below. Yeah, so for the income document, after submitting, you would be categorized based on something called ISE. So it's the ISE that the school will issue to you that you will use to apply for the regional scholarship. You upload it alongside other documents and all of that. So the regional scholarship must also be maintained by meeting certain criteria, which is your grade. That is, after a particular month, after your first semester or your first exams, you should have been able to make certain number of credits or units passes. So, and there's also the tuition waiver in case you're unable to get stipends for the regional scholarship, because the regional scholarship would pay your school fees, accommodation, then you're entitled to one lunch per day at the university's canteen. Yes, so but I think those who are unable to meet up with, like since you'll be categorized based on your level of income, some can also get access to the tuition waiver. Then it means you have to take care of your living expenses yourself. But irrespective, you should consider all of these things before like applying, and you should weigh yourself and know how capable you are. So the process of applying, like I said, starts from research. You have to know what course you want to study. You have to know which university is offering this course, and most importantly, not just which university is offering the course, is the course in that university being taught in English or in Italian language. So you have to check. Most times, like I think in my school, the first call is usually for, because you have like 1, 2, or 3 calls for application. The first call is usually for those willing to study in English. I think the second call is like for those courses that will be offered in Italian language. So you have to be sure and check the website correctly. So the first thing is knowing your course and knowing which university is offering this course, and most importantly, knowing how you also want to fund yourself. Do you want to come over to Italy and spend your own money to sponsor yourself all through, or what scholarship do you want to apply for? Is it the regional scholarship, or are you targeting that you would be selected for the departmental scholarship? So all of this is actually very important. So after you must have decided what course you want to study, and you have found the university and the way you want to sponsor yourself, yes, most definitely, then you have to apply. The major documents you need for application, it might differ based on the university that you are applying to, but mostly the general documents required are your passport, international passport, your statement of motivation. Yeah, and I think that's the most important one, because even some persons might not be able to get admission if their statement of motivation is not good enough. Your transcript, I think you can use your student transcript as long as it has the necessary signature. Your certificate, then you also need your CV. Yes, most importantly, you need your CV too. Then I would say the way, because I also got questions like what is the acceptance rate and blah blah blah, all of that. I think each department, I can't really say, because I feel this kind of information is left for the university to decide, and but I think a lot of people get in really, as long as you're able to maybe cross a particular mark, which I don't know of. I'm sure the school has a way of deciding that. But based on what I know and based on what I've heard, as long as your undergraduate degree corresponds or is in line with what you are applying for, you'll stand a greater chance of being admitted into the university. And your grade too is also important. I know they used to say first class is not necessary, but really to enter grad school, they will consider your grade first. I'm sure they will rank those who have first class before they rank second class and all of that. This does not mean those with second class don't get admission or don't get into grad school. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that it would increase your chances of being selected. So if you're an undergraduate and you're still in school, and if you're willing, it's not everyone that would study outside the country. If you're willing to like seek funding and all of that, getting a first class results, it's actually very important and necessary. So those are the things I believe the school will weigh, in addition to your motivation letter. Your motivation letter is meant to talk about your motivation, even from the name, the statement of motivation, is meant to tell them why you want to study. And I think let me just run through something brief, although there are lots of materials. You can check out Victor Agboga, Scholars Pivot. They really have good stuff on how to write motivation letter, and most of these things follow the same pattern. Although the university might be able to state on their website certain things they want to see, but even if they don't state, generally motivation letter is just supposed to talk about why do you want to study in this school and why this particular course. You can start with stating a problem that you feel you want to solve, something that is feasible actually. Then talk about how your previous education and your previous work experience relates to this. Talk about what knowledge gap you have, what skill gap, and how this present course of study can fill that gap. Talk about the things you expect to achieve either in the next few years or upon completion of your studies and all of that. There's just so many materials that you can check. If I'm able to like pinpoint a particular one, I would also put it in the description section below. So you need to prepare your documents, your CV, your motivation letter, your transcript, your international passport, your certificate, your reference letter, depending on if the university asks for that. So like I said, you should check the website because it can differ for university and it might differ for department, so the things that will be asked of you. So you have to check and you have to know what document you need to prepare. Also, you should also know that for Italian applications, you have to pay application fee. The price, also the cost of the application fee ranges per university. Some can be as low as 20 euros, some can be as high as 35 euros, depending. So you have to check. Another thing to consider is after you must have applied and you have gained admission to the university, you also have to pay the enrollment fee, which is like part of the tuition. Yes, this is like to confirm your admission status, and yeah, you have a particular deadline which you have. So if you're able to do that successfully, then you can now start applying for your visa. And one more important thing I forgot to mention when listing the documents is your proof of English proficiency. So for me, I made use of a letter from my university stating that I was taught in English language all through. So another option can be submitting IELTS or TOEFL, but then if most Italian universities should accept the English proficiency letter from your university, so that shouldn't be a problem. But I think some can have a particular timeline, you understand? So things like this should also be confirmed from the university. And one good thing about the educational system abroad is you can easily send a mail. You can easily send an email to the admission office or whatever department to ask for information, and you would get a response as soon as possible. So if you're not sure anything, or if you have like a specific condition or circumstance, always ask questions. Yeah, it's very, very important. Asking questions is very, very important. Send mails. No one is going to like critique you for sending too much mails, really, as long as you get clarification on what you want to get clarification on, and that's actually the most important thing. So the next thing is visa application. But before your visa application, you have to do something called legalization, and so you have to legalize your documents and you have to also authenticate your documents. So you would have seen on your portal, I don't know how other portals are for other universities, but when I was applying, as you are submitting your documents and you are filling the application form, you'll be seeing like a tick to show you like how you've progressed in the application. So if you are asked to submit a particular document, if it is not urgent or needed for your admission, it will put like a temporary status saying maybe you have a particular deadline or so to fill it. So you don't need to have your documents legalized when you're applying for admission, and you don't need to have it translated. But after admission and you have gained admission, to apply for your visa, you need to authenticate your documents first, and you also need to legalize them. So you'll be needing, like, I'm going to use Nigeria as a case study, and for more details for legalization and authentication, you can check out Ayobami. I'm going to put his YouTube channel in the description section below, so you can have more information. Although that video is specifically for Nigerians, but if you're not a Nigerian, I think you can also pick. Some of these things might not be too different from each other in other countries. So you need to legalize your document. Before you legalize, you have to do something called authentication. So it's to first show that your document is actually original. Yeah, so you have to go to the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to do your authentication first. So what are you going to be authenticating? In the Ministry of Education, you have to authenticate your WAEC certificate, you have to authenticate your BSc, your bachelor certificate, and your transcript. So those are like the three major documents you have to authenticate. Then at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, you have to authenticate non-educational documents, which include your birth certificates. So like I said, for Nigerians, check the video from Ayobami. It has much details on how to go about that process. So after authentication and legalization, there are certain it has costs. You have to pay for that also. So I can't really remember how much. The price varies, so you shouldn't, everything about authentication and legalization in naira shouldn't be more than maybe 40,000 naira, depending. So it varies really. And you also have to translate your document. By the time you be going to the embassy, the Italian embassy, that's before your visa application, you have to translate your authenticated documents and take to the Italian embassy. So you have to book an appointment by sending a mail to the consulate, Italian consulate, which is in Lagos. I would also drop the link there, but when you check the video from Ayobami, you would see a lot of details there really. Yeah, so after authentication and legalization, you must have translated your document for legalizing, then you can now proceed for visa application. In visa application, you also need your proof of fund. Yes, except maybe you have like a fully funded scholarship, or if it's not a scholarship that is recognized by the embassy, you have to show your proof of fund, submit every other documents, and all of that needed. I think a video for visa application might be needed, but basically for your visa application, that's like the last stage. You have to go to TLS contact, you book an appointment. The necessary documents are all the documents that you have legalized. Then you also need to book a flight. Then the flight ticket, the reservation must also be shown, your health insurance documents, and also accommodation, that is where you'll be staying when you first arrive. So all of those are actually very, very important. And just in case, some of the universities have accommodations, but they are very limited in number. So if you are opportune, you can actually apply and just try. You most likely might get the accommodation. So if you have the accommodation before leaving, you could use that contract to apply for your visa. But most often it's usually not available when you apply for your visa. So you have to like book like a hotel reservation and all of that. You can check Ayobami's page again for more details on how the visa application process is supposed to go. So just to like give you a recap of everything, first thing is to do your research well. Research what school you want to go to, research the course you want to study, and see if you meet the eligibility requirements, which is very, 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 very important. So you have to check all of that. Then afterwards, check the school website to know what scholarships are available. Then I think I would try as much as possible, because we are in the admission period here, where applications have been accepted. Some are approaching deadline, some still have like deadlines. So I'll try to see if I can be more consistent posting these opportunities on LinkedIn. And thanks to Abib, the founder of Go Italia, we have like some of these things compressed already, like sieved out, so you don't have to start searching some of the websites. Like you can still do your personal research, but some of these schools and listings have been prepared and compiled by Mr. Habib already. Kudos to him. So, and I would also drop a link to an interview he had detailing some of this application process, which might be also useful to you. No knowledge is a waste really. So I would try to see if I can also compile some of these lists, specific websites, and put in the description box below. And yeah, so after you must have researched the schools and you know what course, you know how you want to fund yourself, you go ahead to apply. And I think sometimes it's not really necessary really. Before you submit your application, let someone go through your motivation letter, and not just you writing from your head. There are so many resources out there that will help you to compose a good statement of motivation. So after you must have filled in your application, you make your submissions. Yes, one last thing, I think some universities allow you to put in more than one application for a particular course of study, so you can also utilize that. All of these instructions are on the website. So you submit your application, you wait for admission, confirm your admission by accepting it and paying for the enrollment fee. After paying for the enrollment fee, you start your visa application, go through the authentication, go through the legalization, book appointment for visa. Meanwhile, you also have to translate, book appointment for your visa, prepare yourself, get all the necessary documents. Don't just rush into it so you don't get like denied and all of that. So that's basically it. I'll be putting some of the links necessary for you to make your applications, and anything that I think will be useful will be in the description box below. So I wish you guys all the best. If you have any questions, you can drop in the comment section or send a message to me on LinkedIn or to any of the senior colleagues. So success in your application and all the best.